Philosophy matters.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jack here. It is, I think it's Monday, isn't it? I keep losing track of days. Everything's just a blur with so much stuff going on. So I appreciate y'all coming on out. And also this, a little blur, as you know, from this past weekend, we did a little bit of a support on our anti-state campaign. And yeah, I think we had a lot of shots. I mean, it was like 15 or 16 shots. Now, they were baby shots, but it was a doozy, and FUD definitely got a little bit blitzed there. So I appreciate everybody who came on out for that and hung out a little bit. And I could see some people here. What's up, Legend of the Brave Bard? So today we are going to be having on a special guest, but I do just, again, want to, before bringing that guest on, remind everybody here that we do have, there's my actual other screen. I meant to bring this up. We do have the anti-state campaign coming on out. And it's actually ending relatively soon, just a few more weeks. We already at 33% of the anti-state music video campaign. So again, we're trying to go to New York for this next music video. We're producing this hard-hitting song in a way that, you don't really see out there in terms of talking about the government. So it's a lot of fun. Check it on out over there on Indiegogo. The link to there, you'll find it down in the comments. But it is going on right now, and you can get your name in the credits. You can get your name in the front of the video. So it's a great way to help support, get some cool perks, and of course, continue the message of liberty into new venues. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our guest come up here. So our guest today will be Brian Fleming. He's the current chair of the LPF Convention Committee and region non-representative. He's active in Decriminalize Nature and in the LP of Brevard County. So welcome, Brian. Thank you so much for coming on. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. It's been a while now since the last convention. I always love going to the LPF conventions and hanging out and having a good time with people. Last time, actually, me and the philosopher were there performing. We actually did a live set of different songs, which was a lot of fun. So could you tell us a little bit about your work with the Libertarian Party of Florida and what's going on, coming up here with your plans and what you have in the mix?
Sure. Yeah. Well, as you said, I do two things with the LPF. One is I'm on the executive committee as a Region 9 rep. The region I cover is basically Brevard, Osceola, Orange, and Seminole. Right now, Osceola isn't affiliated, so that's one of the things I've been working on, or I'm starting to work on, is getting them reaffiliated. And then it's basically just trying to get all the county affiliates to talk to each other and work together to bring about candidates to grow the party and stuff like that in our region. And of course, as far as convention committee, this is my first year as a chair. And then last year I was vice chair on the committee. And then the year before that, I just sort of hung out and helped. So this is my third year on the convention, helping with the convention, the LPF convention. So yeah, that's basically what I'm doing. And then of course I also help out in Brevard a little bit, not as much. I was the chair there last year, and now Nathan Slusher's the chair. Of course, I think we have the best affiliate in the state. Brevard's the best, number one. But yeah, and right now, we're just working on convention stuff, trying to get ahead of the curve. Basically, last couple of years we've sort of been, while we've done a good job, we really haven't had a lot of time to advertise and really get the word out and pump up the convention. So we're almost 7 months out, a little over 7 months out. And, we want to start telling people, hey, we got the location, we got some of the speakers, and start funneling people to the website.
Awesome. And for those who are not familiar, what exactly, as an outsider, could someone expect when they come to the convention? What type of things are going on there? What kind of fun activities and so on and so forth?
Yeah, definitely. So, well, it's two things. First, you're doing the annual business meeting where delegates get together and they vote on different items. They vote on new officers. Like if we're gonna, I think this year we're doing there's a huge amount of the officers that are being reelected this year. Like the chair is being reelected and stuff like that. So that'll happen this year, and then they'll have 2 year, I believe it's 2 year terms for those officers. Excuse me. And then also we're going to have a lot of breakouts. The three areas right now that we're looking for breakouts is, of course, guns, anything Florida. We're trying to do as much specific with Florida as possible. So right now we're looking at guns, homeschooling, a little bit of homesteading stuff, and then decriminalizing or legalizing marijuana and other herbal medicines. And of course, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, people using the non-fiat dollar to break away from the state, basically, is what it is. So, and as far as fun, for this upcoming convention in 23, it's in Kissimmee, at the Wyndham Resort there in Kissimmee. And we're planning on, we're looking at getting a comic for this year. Last year we didn't have a comic, or we did. We had Dave Smith. This year it won't be Dave Smith, but we have a couple others that we're reaching out to. We're finalizing sort of the contract with them to see what we have to pay for. And then it's basically hanging out and philosophizing. It's discussing ideas and making change and making connections, raising money. Two things you can't have with a parties. You have to have people, and you have to have some money to make the changes, unfortunately. So that's what we're all about: having some fun and making the Libertarian Party of Florida stronger. Gotcha.
So yeah, I mean, for me, my own personal experience is, I'm not as politically active in terms of, I personally am a non-voter, but I do table at the events, and I'm a big supporter of helping change minds and doing other types of activism and stuff like that. So when it comes to this type of event and kind of, getting people in the door and like thinking through, that incrementalism, what could you tell people who are maybe themselves like tiptoeing or not, they're not like politically active yet, or looking to do that necessarily? What would you tell them to try to get them involved or want to join even, just the party and to try to get their feet in and kind of get a sense of what's going on? What would you encourage them to do?
Well, I think attending the breakouts is a big thing. The breakouts really, they talk about ideas, and you get a lot more one-on-one interaction with some of the speakers. And I think that's really important. You can sit there and you can discuss things. You have I call them the keyboard commandos, who will argue behind the computer. Oh, well, this is it. But actually talking to someone face to face and meeting the person that you're having a discussion with and thinking about ideas, and then, challenging your conceptions. I'm constantly learning still. I've only been a libertarian technically since 2019, because I was still in the military in 2016. Challenging your ideas and learning about libertarians and hearing all the different views, and maybe that changes your mind on some of the subjects that you're saying that, no, I'm a starch this way or one this way, and learning, how to discuss those rationally in an adult way with people. And I think being able to do that is really important. I think you do that at convention. That's what I would say, because not everything is money driven as far as at the convention. We're going to have some, definitely free areas and stuff like that. And anybody will be able to walk in and see those discussions. One of the speakers that we have is a professor from Valencia College of Economics. He's a libertarian. So we're going to try and get him in a debate with a couple other economists or even politicians, and flesh out some ideas through that also.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I think that's really important for people to know that, for some people, I think on the outside, they might think, oh, this is just some business meetup. And, oh, it's just a bunch of people who are like sitting there and talking about dry rules and just, voting on stuff. It's like, okay, why would I go to this? This isn't for me. And I think that misconception is important to communicate to others that, that's just not true. And that it's actually an event where people are hanging out. There's different types of speaking engagements, as you mentioned. There's people talking. There's all different types of vendor tables. There's people who are there with different organizations, or even, people who have different types of goods. Like I remember last year we had gotten some delicious brownies from someone who made like survival brownies. So it's an opportunity for people to actually be able to meet up with people who are like-minded, network, get all kinds of cool products of people who are in the area, making things and seeing, what's actually out there, whether it's someone who's a, gold and silver or rare coins dealer, or someone who makes cool tumblers or t-shirts or, homemade goods. Even it's an opportunity for, someone to actually get out there and just see what it's all about in the market, and the market of both ideas and physical things. So I think that's kind of an important thing to emphasize, because to me, at least, from what I see on the outside, a lot of people have that impression that, oh, this is just some, dry business meeting. Why would I go to this? Especially if they're, not that interested in the political side, like maybe they're not looking to run, but maybe they would support it, but they just don't know that, oh, this is actually a place you can actually warm up to it and, see what's going on,
Yeah, definitely. Like last year, he wasn't directly, they weren't directly across from you, but they were close to you. Was Death with Dignity was there last year. And they were taking, signatures and emails, that's something that they were promoting. That was the first year we've had them. I think we're going to try and get them again this year. So I wouldn't be honest if I didn't say there is some time where it's, when they're doing the business meeting, a lot of stuff will sort of slow down for us just because everybody that's going to be, most of the people that are going to be going to the breakouts are going to be in the business meeting, unfortunately. But the big news for this year is it looks like we're going to have National come down and they're going to give a class on candidates, fundraising, and activism. So on that Saturday, on Friday, we'll have a class, and then Saturday the classes will just mirror each other. So,
oh wow!
So yeah, we'll be having people from our national region, which is Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Tennessee, and of course Florida, come down for training.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, there is the opportunities for people there who are serious about, doing something candidacy wise. There, obviously opportunities there for people who are interested in the fundraisers, for people who are interested in the actual, running parts and seeing what's happening with campaigns, seeing if they can support things like that too. So it's got more of a robust, wide spectrum of people there and all different types of activism and all different types of, networking and opportunities. So absolutely. So just to get personal, you had said before that, you had become a libertarian, at least identified one in 2019. Could you tell us a little bit about how that happened? Like, what were the steps? Like, what kind of aha moment you had?
It was the 2016 election with Gary Johnson. I was in the military at that time for 22 years, and I know this may be a shocker, but the military is pretty restrictive as far as what you can and can't do with your body and off duty, quote unquote off duty. You're never really off duty, but when you're not at work per se. And the job I had, we weren't known as very good rule followers. So I started watching the election of 2016 and I saw Gary Johnson, only Gary Johnson, not Bill Weld. But I saw Gary Johnson and it really interested me. So I started reading books and I went to the websites and to libertarian websites. I read a couple libertarian books. The one that I really liked was I think it's called The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. I really liked that book, even though it was violent, which I found out later is against, later on, I learned more about the NAP and understood that philosophy. So yeah, and that's the first election I voted libertarian. I voted for Gary Johnson. And then when I retired in 2019, I retired here to Florida and I changed my voter registration. So,
wow.
And then started going to the affiliate meetings, started going to the affiliate meetings and stuff like that. So
when you started learning about the non-aggression principle and things like that, were there any particular speakers, authors, writers that kind of helped you understand that best? Like, was there a certain person or book that like you kind of really got excited about and like kind of awakened you to it?
I'll be honest with you. It was the affiliate here that really helped me with that, and I started learning and I and one of my downfalls, like I constantly think about stuff, like your mind keeps on going 24/7. So I would always question, whenever I went to meetings, even to the convention and stuff, I'd question people. I'd like, well, how does it fit into this? How does it fit into that? And that's sort of how I built the principle and, and applied it to my life, the non-aggression principle, I think it's an awesome principle to have. And I think, if more people understood that and were more caring and really applied that rule to their lives, we'd be a lot better off, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's awesome to hear that it was more so the personal connections and the conversations you had with, people you're talking to directly and, those friendships and networks that you had that drove that, intellectual journey. That's super awesome. Because I mean, for a lot of people, they feel isolated. They're, not near as many people maybe for themselves, or they can talk to people like that. So having that opportunity to actually have those in-person conversations and those in-person challengings is awesome to hear. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
And
I love ideas. I love when ideas are challenged. I like it when people challenge my ideas, when I think that it should be this way or that way, or this is the right move. And then someone comes up and it makes me think. And I like dissecting, those type of things and understanding where it's coming from. Maybe it's from a, experience I had when I was in the military or younger or something that really drives my thought process for that. And I can change my mind. It's a great thing is that if people put up a good enough argument, they can change people's minds. You can change their behavior. You can change their demeanor. You can bring them to the Libertarian Party, hopefully, so we get these assholes out of office.
So in terms of the Libertarian Party of people who, you frequently see, are there any people in particular that you have admired, in terms of their work and messaging? Anyone that's been an inspiration for you?
I wouldn't say there's not one person. I was having a discussion today on Discord, and we were talking about naming sponsorship packages for the convention, and I brought up naming them Ron Paul, Milton Friedman, and Mrs. Von Ludwig. Sorry, I'm messing up his name.
Ludwig von Mises, you got it.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's all good to be tongue-tied.
Yeah. But and then someone goes, well, in some arenas, people think Milton Friedman is a socialist, and that shocked the hell out of me. And they said, yeah, there's, hardcore anarchists, because he brought up he created the idea of them taking the money directly out of your paycheck for taxes.
Yep.
And from what I've heard and read, that was one of his ultimate regrets. He's like, that was a terrible idea. And I agree that's a terrible idea. But I really like the way Milton Friedman explains economics. And I think he was a powerhouse in showing that, it should be voluntary. A lot of this stuff should be voluntary, and that the government, it just ruins everything. So I've been watching and reading a lot of his stuff, Milton Friedman stuff. I'd tell you, I watch more videos than I do anything else. I listen to Ron Paul also. I started reading. I've read a couple of books, of course, Economics in One Lesson and stuff like that. I'm really trying to find something else that sort of tickles my fancy.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. It's funny that you do mention, Friedman. Obviously, one of his biggest sins was advising Congress about how to do the income tax, or the tax withholding for by employers, W-2s. So that was a big hurdle to overcome. He did regret it, of course, but that was a big sin. Yeah. He has been good at obviously in other areas. He's been great at helping people think about. I would say thinking of risks in life as like as a calculation of harm. Instead of being like, oh, the government needs to ban everything, you think of everything as, well, what percentage harm is this to you, and let people choose their risk calculations accordingly. And I think he had a great speech about talking about the Pinto, how like X number of Pintos might have a problem where they catch on fire, but it said, but the cost was so much lower that it also allowed people to save so much money that they could afford other things like medicine or, doing stuff to improve their lives with better food. He's like, so you could sit there and say, yeah, on one hand, okay, there's a small percentage risk that this Pinto has an accident, but at the same time, the money you save from that could also be used to save lives, when it comes to being able to afford critical care or critical medicine and things like that. So everything's a risk calculation technically. And the question is how can people be free to make those risk calculations, accordingly? So,
right, without being coerced or having anything else imposed upon them. I think that's the big thing that he said. Why would the government impose this if they don't make a good car? It's not going to sell. And you can vote with your dollars, basically. If you like a Pinto, then you're going to take the risk of possibly it, blowing up, catching on fire from getting hit from behind. I'm trying to remember the person in the 80s. Jeez, I forgot his name, but he was sort of like the beginning of Consumer Reports. I want to say it was Napier, but I can't remember the name right off the top of my head. But, you know, Milton Friedman's like, why? This guy, you know, all he's doing is performing a function of the government, and we don't need that, you know. So I'm gonna thinking about that damn name for the.
That'll pop in. Yeah, randomly. It's just gonna pop right back in.
If I yell out a name, you'll know what it is.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. And it's the idea that people naturally are curious about what is healthy, what is safe. There's already market incentives for reviews, you know, whether it's Yelp or Google reviews or, you know, Angie's List or whatever. People are willing to pay for and, you know, subscribe to different services to be able to, you know, share information about what it is that's safe and what's not, and, you know, and to act accordingly. So, you know what I mean? It's obviously the lowest common denominator bar of the government saying, oh, this, you know, product is maybe safe is not necessarily the best way to decide if someone even wants it, right? There's a big gradient of difference between maybe this product's passably safe, you know, and maybe it gets recalled later even after the government approves it, versus being able to be in the market and look at reviews and see, you know, people say, oh, this is actually excellent. This is, you know, good quality, and see actual users, you know, showing themselves with the product and what they use it for. So definitely.
Yeah. I mean, let's think about the things that the government said aren't safe. Eggs weren't safe. Bacon, you couldn't eat bacon. You know, this is your direct health stuff. You know, the food, you know, I know they call it the bad or the sad, you know, basic American diet, or, you know, standard American diet, but it's terrible. What the government puts out with no rationale and induces this fear, which changes, you know, the culture of the US and strips the ability of you to make a sound decision for yourself. You know, you shouldn't eat so many eggs. Well, why not? Because they're bad for you. Okay, what says that? And then you look down deep into it, and it's like, this is all crap. You know, and it doesn't, you know, it doesn't make you feel comfortable with anything the government says, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I would say especially when it comes to subsidies and lobbying, you know, when it comes to, you know, food things, I think of the old food pyramid and how they pumped up having lots of breads and carbs that are actually unhealthy for you, you know, and they, you know, essentially put a rubber stamp on all types of unhealthy foods. And you go down the cereal aisle and you see how many different food, you know, dyes there are, and how much sugar there is in high fructose corn syrup. They give you, you know, rubber stamp of approval on all different types of unhealthy, like clearly unhealthy food. And you know, it's all out there in the open. They're like, oh yeah, this is safe. Go ahead, you know, eat this poison. And meanwhile, you know, they're otherwise saying that it's, you know, good for you to cut back on things that you might actually need when it comes to meats and certain types of fats and things like that. And those, you know, those things have ties, you know, back to lots of lobbying in different groups, whether it's, you know, dairy, you know, in terms of, you know,
sugar,
farmers back in the day getting subsidies for that, or back when the government was doing the cheese thing and buying up lots of cheese and then doing ad campaigns, you know, to drink milk, you know, does the body good. Like, you know, they create the problem and then they create the reaction, and then they, you know, offer their solution, which is the government doing more manipulations, and it creates more distortions, so on and so forth. So, Reggio here says, how can the LP help disconnect California from paying attention to only national news and focus on their problems as a state? That's a good one. I like that. Yeah, there's always lots of fun times at different affiliates, and you know, there's always a little bit of something going on with drama here and there. But the good news, I think, as far as I've seen, is that things have continued to get better and better now. You know, now you're starting to see the people who are actually active, you know, by and large, are there because they care about the principles first. They're not there just to, you know, make it their little tiny club and to, you know, basically only do things that favor their specific donors. You know, people are actually there putting ethics and economics education first. So, yeah, I mean, California is probably going to sink anyway pretty soon. They're going to be back to candles with their rules, you know, on electricity and everything. So,
but did you hear they extended the time for their last and only nuclear power plant? They were going to close that. I think it was this year or next year, but they're like, well, we're just going to keep it open maybe for a couple more years.
Yeah, so. It's crazy. I mean, it's absolutely insane. And the thing is in a place like that, you know, there's no resistance to it. It's through and through, you know, Democrat controlled. So anything that's bad, just goes straight through basically by and large. So that is, yeah.
Yeah, California, well, not all of California. I mean, that would be wrong because North California is conservative, is the conservative stronghold for California. But it's an echo chamber. It's something that I don't think I would ever want to be a part of. I don't want to hear just one, and I don't know, you may not know this, but libertarians have opinions and they're not always the same. So
that's true.
I love hearing different opinions, from different sides, whatever you think, and then fleshing those out and just saying, okay, but is that, your idea right there, is that a libertarian idea, or is it just something that you're come up with off on your own? The bigger thing for when he was talking about California and LP, I know one of the things that we sort of focus on is just trying to keep it as regional as possible. So national is going to do what national does, but if we can focus on Florida, and then if you're in a county, focus on your affiliate first. Let's get your affiliate strong in whatever county you live in, and really start growing that and attending council meetings, city and county commissioner meetings. Start attending that stuff and learning what's happening within your own county and your own city, and then work your way out. And then maybe after a year or two, you go from your affiliate to the state, and then you can start applying those same ideas, and of course, bring in people. It's one of the big things, is that, you got to have people to take over for those positions that you have in at any level. So, encouraging people to come out and helping them really get some skin in the game per se at that level would be important.
From your own personal experience, what have you seen motivate people most to want to come out in the first place? What have you seen, tactics wise, that has really made people want to show up or check out, affiliate meeting and test the waters?
I'll be honest with you. I think as far as the county is concerned, Nathan Slusher, he goes to a lot of the meetings and then he posts them on Facebook. And we've got a couple people come out and ask questions just from that alone. One of the things we did recently, though, was we sent out postcards, and we had 4 new people sign up on emails within days of sending out the postcards. So, it's got to be, you got to use a variety of tactics to reach the people. I think that's something that we really struggle with as a state and as an affiliate, is just reaching to all the people, because when you go to the voter rolls, you have a name, address, email, and phone number. Well, if they just have an address, you're not going to be able to, you can't call them, you can't email them. So you got to send them a postcard. Well, those are most expensive of all of them. So trying to figure out which way is the best way to do that. And of course, for a lot of people, it's a single issue, Florida here, of course, guns are huge. That always brings the crowd, libertarians and alleged Republicans. So
yeah, no, definitely. I mean, guns are definitely a hot button issue, and obviously that is an issue that really has a lot of opportunity on, simply because despite there being a relative large Republican majority, and of course DeSantis being Republican, you would expect there to be something at this point, anything in terms of gun rights being expanded, but there hasn't been anything materially brought up or even suggested, even though there's politically, to me, there's no reason to not, at a bare minimum, trying to upend the, permits for carry. I think that's a great start. But yeah, it's kind of, sad how people continue to be duped into thinking that they're going to actually, come through on these things, when in reality, it's, they always dangle that issue just to try to get votes. But then when push comes to shove, they don't actually come through with it. So.
Well, I think it's similar to the federal government in the case that they don't want to fix immigration, because that's a button for the Democrats to always come back every 4 or 2 years to say, look at immigration. They don't want to fix all these issues that we have. They don't want to fix them because it keeps them entrenched. It keeps them in power. And they use that fear and anger and everything against, each other, basically, to not fix shit. I mean, just like you're saying about the Republicans, they could pass permitless carry here tomorrow, and it could be done. It could be and it should. And I'm surprised it hasn't, seeing as how, there's some other, they say they say Florida's the freest state in the nation, yet there's other states that have passed these, permitless carry. So I find it's just another subject that they're going to use to stay in power. Oh, but we're going to get your guns this time. I swear, I promise. Yeah, you're full of shit. We all know the truth. Well, people that really think they know the truth, that it's another hot button topic that people want to, divide the state into from.
Right. Yeah. And that's exactly right. Is that a big part of the false left-right paradigm is that they're in a constant state of using crises to essentially entrench and grow government power, not really actually help people. And, it's basically opportunists at every level of both Republicans and Democrats by and large. They're just trying to leverage these things and say, oh, yes, see, this is a problem. The other side doesn't care. We'll take care of whatever X issue is. Mm-hmm. And it's at every turn, it's just really, oh, okay. And by take care of it, we mean we're going to expand, the warfare state or the welfare state. And actually, we're not going to really actually fix anything. And it's something that people really need to understand, that the only way to actually move toward fixing anything is to actually exit, to actually start to think outside of that false left-right paradigm and to think what else is possible, whether that is political action or not, whether it's, building outside the state or thinking, of signaling that enough is enough. We're tired of the lies of the, pointing fingers between Republicans and Democrats and pretending like as if, they're actually meaningfully trying to solve anything when in reality they're both behind closed doors, seeing how they can, launder money through Ukraine or, or grow their power for the, next cycle. So,
yeah, something we were talking about here, it's time for people to jump off the pendulum, and, people say, well, the Republicans have principles, Democrats have principles. And I say they're both full of shit. Their principles are built in sand. Whereas I look at the libertarians built in stone. It's something concrete. It's something, like we were talking about the non-aggression principle. It's something that I can relate to, and that if you believe in that stuff, there's no way around. You can't talk your way out of believing certain things. And your policy will follow those principles. If you have those principles, if you really have those principles, then your policies are going to follow them, and you'll be more true to yourself. And I think that makes us, I would rather see us as the best party or the top number one party in the nation. But as long as we stay true to our principles, everything else is gravy to me.
I agree. That's why I wrote my book, The Definitive Guide to Libertarian Voluntarism, specifically to get those principles down in a nice, neat, succinct manner. Just because if you have those things grounded, as you said, then you're not going to be readily distracted by anything. No one's going to be able to say, but what about, this issue abroad, or what about, these immigrants, or what about, this gun violence, whatever nonsense it is. You're able to look at every issue objectively and say, okay, yeah, and this is not actually being solved by the government. They're actually just trying to upend your rights and continue to create more of the same problems by turning more people into criminals, whether it's by, creating more victimless crime laws, or by taking from you, whether it's through printing money or, by going to more debt, whatever it is. The government's not actually resolving any of these social problems, you could say, and types of, actual harms as among people, and fixing those things.
Well, I think, something I learned from Greg Peel here in our affiliate is, we were talking, with the Black Lives Matter movement and stuff like that, and it's not that, that isn't worthwhile, but it's a distraction. It's a distraction away from the real issue, like you're talking about victimless crimes, the way that the government treats people. That's the real issue. It's, you can narrow it down to one or the other, but, those are all little distractions away from, qualified immunity. There's so many other things that you could fix those issues, those problems, or at least make them better if you got rid of all the BS laws that don't, victims, like you're saying, victimless crimes and stuff like that really don't need to be there, sort of staying on task. And when you're thinking about those things is really important. Hey, what about pronouns? I'll be honest with you. I don't give a fuck about pronouns. I don't care. What's your name? I'll call you by your name. Will will that help? I don't want to be just disrespectful of people, but let's focus on the bigger issues here. They're stealing all your money and they're giving it to someone else. They're locking people away in prison for their lives for distributing a plant to people. Jesus, how many more things can we discuss that they are literally killing people over that you don't need to.
Exactly. And that's a big part of it, is that, the distract and divide agenda is the idea of taking different hot button issues, whether it's something related to race or identity or, sexuality, whatever it is, and then to try to get people to fight each other over those things instead of getting people to realize, hey, wait a second, if people are just free and the government's not, using any force in this, okay, we'll just, choose to act and treat each other how you want based on that. But, these things are not actually core to what is happening in terms of actual real violence and theft. Mm-hmm. And then when you look at what the government's actually doing in terms of affecting everybody mm-hmm. would be unified in that if they actually wrap their minds around the fact that, wow, the government's really erasing over half of our income when you add up all the taxes, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Not just income tax, but sales tax and gas tax and mm-hmm. Cell phone tax, and keep going on property tax. And then you start being like, and wait a second, and now they're gonna print more money and then erase our value of our dollars even more. Mm-hmm. And then it starts to become more real when you go to buy stuff at the grocery store and you're like, hey, I get that this hot button issue they're trying to pull at your heartstrings with some superficial thing is in the media right now, but don't you feel the pain of not being able to afford food, right? That everybody gets that. Everybody gets the, oh crap, like I can't buy as much groceries right now because it's so reminding people of those core issues and always bringing it back to what's mm-hmm. really going on out of the distractions is important. I think Reggie here says, on that note, he says, we keep sending money to Ukraine and they never get asked the question, what if they lose? What happens? What is the risk? Right. I mean, exactly. It's just one order thinking. It's always just about, oh, okay, here's a problem. Well, the government's just going to throw money at it. And if it's a foreign government or terrorist group or something like that, they're just going to throw guns at it. And it's like, okay, yeah, but then what? And then what? Mm-hmm. Right. It's like, those things are still staying there. So who's getting what resources, what's happening to them? And it's nuts. And that's how you had situations like with the Mujahideen and, the Taliban, eventually funding one side to fight the Soviets and then that becoming its own thing. Another problem of people, taking over other areas because you're funding the groups trying to get to power that are really violent. And it's, people just don't think through the, and then what?
So, I mean, the question here that when they're talking about Ukraine, the bigger question is, who cares? The reason I say who cares is because it doesn't matter who wins, who loses. The thought of winning and losing as far as war is a difficult one for me to understand. Anytime we go to war, we lose because I know a lot of people see the costs. The first thing is, okay, how much do we spend? We spent this much, but the cost that you really don't see is, cost in the VA after people are, have lost an arm or a leg, or they've been in so many battles that they can't focus and they drink heavy and then, they lose their family. What are those costs? I know you get, the 22 a day. I don't know if you've heard that number, but 22, servicemen a day are killing themselves. So the costs are the financial cost. Yeah, that's there. But there's a ton of other costs. The win or lose thing is a losing argument in my opinion. As soon as you go and invade another country, you've lost. If you can't use, if we're supposed to be have some smart people and stuff like that, then how come you can't sit at a table and talk across from each other? And if that's not the case, then how come you can't just walk away? That's how I look at that stuff. And Ukraine is a stupid place. I was talking to my wife. She goes, well, we don't have any boots on the ground. I'm like, that's a naive thought in and of itself. I said, we have people there. And you can see, whether it be the CIA or the NSA or, if you use Afghanistan for an example, they had the DEA there. And then you were talking about the Mujahideen. The weird thing is that while we were over there, I did 2 tours there, and we were finding weapons that they were using against us from the 80s. So, it's a losing proposition. It's and then I can't remember what the number is. Was it $10 billion worth of equipment? It was some that we left there from leaving Afghanistan. It was some.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Some number. It's just absolute crazy.
Right.
But when you're talking about the dividing line, I wanted to start plugging a little bit. One of the speakers we're going to have at the convention is Maj Toure. So he's signed on. So he's going to be there. We're going to have Hannah Cox, Spike Cohen, Jack Chambliss from Valencia. I brought up him, and Dan Schmatz. I hope I pronounced that right, Schmatz.
That's awesome. Yeah, Maj is great. So that's super exciting that you have Maj coming down, because he really is a great example of someone who takes their ideas and puts them into practice, going around and actually offering free training to people in inner cities, basic gun safety. So that way, people know what to do and not to, hurt somebody accidentally. I mean, how many people are actually, actually able to save others and then pass that down to like their kids and stuff like that, that training that he gives them. It's pretty awesome that he's essentially both saving lives in terms of helping people avoid accidents and helping people be able to use, firearms safely. I mean, that's incredible. That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, he was him and Hannah were the first two ones that we reached out to. We're like, well, we want to change it up a little bit from last year. And we reached out to them, and they were, within a day or two, they were a yes. So those are our primary big hitters. And of course, we're still filling out some of the speaker cards and the breakout sessions too. So we'll be filling those out. But you can go to lpfcon.org and start looking at that. And the pricing and stuff will be up there pretty soon. We're going to have a couple different, we had some fun. I'd like your opinion on this. So we changed, every year we have a VIP, then a gold and a silver and a bronze. Well, this year we changed it up. The VIP package is the real libertarian package. And then the gold is the based libertarian. Silver is small L libertarian, and then the bronze is libertarianish. And then the a la carte will be single issue voter.
That's too funny.
Do you think people will like that? I mean, I know some people may get upset, but
no, I think it's hilarious. I think it's just making it fun. It's if people are having a chuckle out of that, even if someone gets a little bit miffed, who cares? Like the whole point is it's memorable, right? It sticks, as opposed to something that you're going to forget the next day. Like that actually is going to stick, and people will be joking and talking about that. And that's much more important, is to have something funny and memorable than something that's just like, oh, okay, yeah, I was just, gold member or whatever, just ignore it, know?
Well, for the real libertarian, we're going to have a swag bag, and we're making buttons where it says real libertarian on it. So you'll wear that, and you can, you'll be able to get access to all the events and stuff like that. So
that's awesome. Yeah. That's a lot of fun. Yeah, exactly. And that's a part of getting people to want to be involved, is having something that is entertaining and fun and memorable and something you want to show off, right? You don't want something that's just hokey or boring or just, uninspiring. You want something that's like, oh, okay, this is something that's a memory that I'm going to, put on my shelf after and remember when I did that kind of thing, So that's awesome. That's really good.
Yeah, we're doing a couple of things different. This year we're going to try and have, because at the Wyndham, they have a kids zone area. So when you go and sign up, like if you're going to bring your family, you're going to be able to click on that, and you tell us the age of your kids, and we're going to try and build little bags for the kids that'll have like comics in it. They'll have some crafts and stuff. So something for families. So if the kids come there, or when kids come there, because I think the last couple of years we've had a couple families, that they'll have something that's sort of libertarian-ish, and it'll keep them sort of happy and keep them entertained while they're there also. So we have that, and then we're going to have a book trading area where you bring a book, leave a book of libertarian. So you bring your favorite book if you have an extra copy, and personally, I say put your name in there, and then maybe bring back the book the next year. But and then you can take the book and read it and leave a book for someone else.
That's awesome. I mean, I like the comic book idea, because obviously I have a series called Voluntarist. So Voluntarist comics here, do like comic book stuff there. So that's super cool. Like, giving kids something that's catered to them kind of thing. So that, that's great. Give them a good memory too. So that makes them excited and, want to come back.
Yeah. I mean, if afterwards we can have a discussion if you want to, help partner with that. Christina Baxter. I want to mention my crew first of all, because they're doing a lot of the work. Matt Johnson, Christina Baxter, John Morrissey, and Patrick Leisner. they're doing pardon my French, they're doing a fucking awesome job. And they're really, we're doing a lot of stuff, and we're trying to include as many ideas and bring in as many people as possible. We have, I think, right around, I think it was 48,000 registered libertarians. So I'd like to get 500, but this year maybe 250 just at convention, or possible libertarians. I mean, even if you're not a libertarian, come on out. We'll have a good time. We'll have some discussions.
Yeah, definitely. Do you know if they're doing anything DJ wise, like a after party or anything like that?
So we are going to do a VIP party. The idea hasn't been fleshed out, but we're either going to do a comic at the VIP party and then a one-on-one. So if you get, it'll be $100 for the VIP party, but if you do the real libertarian, you get entrance to that automatically. But then we'll have as many speakers there as possible. So you'll have one-on-one time with a speaker. And then we're either going to do a comedian. And then, we were talking about doing either karaoke or DJ on Friday night. That'll be Friday night. So different from last year. Last year, we really screwed up because on the website, it said Friday dinner and we didn't have a dinner. So this year we are actually having a Friday dinner. So, so when you see dinner on there, we're actually having food, and it'll be a sit down meal.
And the comedian doesn't happen to be Lou Perez, does it? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, he just came out with this great book. Yeah, I love it. So I've been promoting that for him too, because his that joke ain't funny anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's his latest. It's a bit of like his past history, some funny stories and jokes, and commentary in the world. So it's a really funny thing. So he does some great comedy too. So shout out to Lou if you're somehow seeing this.
Yeah, hopefully he's seeing it. I mean,
I would love to have him come down for a Florida event, even if whether it was this upcoming one or next or in the future. Absolutely, he's great. So
well, I'll be honest. We reached out to him, and we're waiting to hear back. So
okay.
We've already reached out to him, and then we've reached out to one other person, but we're waiting to hear back. The big thing for us is, it comes down to money too. We only have so much money to spend at convention, and we've allocated ourselves so much for speakers. But I heard, I haven't been to one that had a comedian yet, but I think it was 2019 and 18 they had a comedian, and it was a hit. So I figured we try that this year or next year, 2023.
Well, it's its own attraction too. People wanting to just, even if they're coming out specifically to come to that event, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's awesome. I got to text them and be like, do it.
Yeah. Hey, put some peer pressure on them. That'd be perfect.
Awesome.
Tell them that we're poor too.
Tell them that we're poor. That you're poor. Yeah, we maybe we'll incentivize them somehow. That could be fun.
I've heard the term povertarian.
Well, I mean, the goal is by doing this and getting some great people, having something that's really memorable to incentivize people to want to come out, support, pick up perk packages, be a part of the fundraisers and stuff like that. So I mean, yeah, absolutely. And I think I have a few pieces too that I submitted for fundraising for this year for them.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, so I already sent them a couple things. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. And y'all, of course, are doing vending tables too, right? For anybody that's curious about coming and vending, right?
Yep. Yeah, definitely. We're doing vending tables. We were thinking about increasing price, but I think we're going to keep the same, $100.
Okay.
Now I'm trying to push to get an app, an event app.
Yeah.
So that we can do advertising on that also of vendor tables and sponsorships. So we could charge a little bit more for tables.
Right.
I'm in the process of trying to raise money for that. So I don't know if it's going to happen, but so there may be an increased price if we get the app and stuff of like $50 a table if you want to do advertising through there. Yeah. But for right now, it's $100. So
great. Yeah. No, we'll definitely be there too. So I've been tabling, for every year for at least, I don't know, 5 years or 6 or something like that. So
I think you've been there the last 2 years, the 2021 and 2022, and so is Mark Tanzer.
Yes,
he's been there. He's always there. I like Mark.
Yeah, Mark's great. He's one of my groomsmen. So yeah.
So I want to give him a plug too. Tagger Trading.
Always. Yeah, Mark's great. Mark's awesome. I love that guy. So. But on that note, any last things you want to mention to people here before we wrap things up? Any last, plugs or calls, or what people should do to get involved with this if they're curious or thinking about it?
Yeah, if you want to get involved or if you have questions, like I said, you can go to lpfcon.org, or you can email us at convention@lpf.org. And then we all get all those emails. And then we should be emailing out once the site is up and running. We'll send out an email saying, hey, site's up and running, start buying your packages. Early bird prices for those from top to bottom are $450, $275, $225, $175, and then $50. That's early bird. That will most likely go through 1 December once it's up and running. And then the regular pricing will just add $50. So
awesome. Yeah, that's great.
And then also we will be doing, of course, auctions, like you said, with some of your stuff. And then we'll have some other stuff to auction off. And then the theme contest will start soon also. So hopefully it won't be a shit show this year.
Right. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. It's always a good time. So
we're going to give a left and right boundary for that, for the theme convention.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate your time, Brian. Thank you so much for sharing with everybody here what you got going. I thought you did a great job of just, really telling us exactly what's going on, what your hopes are, what you're trying to do, and giving people a sense of what's coming up. And I hope that inspires people to, at a bare minimum, check it out and maybe go ahead and, pick up some tickets to come and visit once the registration opens, and to also check out what y'all are doing otherwise and see what's going on there, local affiliates in Florida, because it's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun to be able to hang with people where you can actually have some deep, meaningful conversations instead of a lot of the nonsense that's out there. That's, just how's the weather? You want to talk about philosophy and ethics and what's going on in the world, nature, truth. So it's nice to have that refreshing, group of people to be around and to discuss those things with. So
yeah, thank you again for having me on. I really appreciate it. And yeah, if anybody has any questions, like I said, he put the website there at the bottom, and you can email us too. And thank you again. I had a good time.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure, Brian. All right, take care, everybody. I don't have any scheduled streams coming up soon, but except for, I guess, Friday, I guess. We're going to be, or maybe it's Saturday. I don't know which day it's going to be. We'll let you know for our next anti-state stream is, me and the Philosopher doing that for the music video. So take care, and I'll talk to you later.
ZeroState.